Yeah, I think it's going to be useful to, have a look at the cash flow modeling that you guys have
Yeah.
here.
So on our website, we have I mean, it's quite a good sort of summary of the propositions and services that advisors can offer and that we ourselves have put together. And we have one hopefully for each sort of type of person, depending on what you want and what you need. So this sort of just outlines our services, and that's us focusing on more sort of products and things like that. However, if you go to the section which proposition suits you, there are actually a series of questions that help you work out what kind of client or what kind of client you would be. So if we're looking at sort of wealth builder, for example, you might be asking yourselves a question like, how do I open a new pension, or how do I budget? How do I invest for my future goals? We have wealth manager for those who are slightly further down the line, who essentially, if you've got a bigger pot of money or you've got invested a pot or saved a larger pot of money or a fund, this is where we then look at how to manage that more effectively. We do help with mortgages as well. So how can you save for your first home? So you don't just have to be ready and say, oh, I'd like to have a mortgage now. We can help you with actually how to save and budget for your home, and then what kind of home to buy and where to buy. We can help you with all of that. And then equally protection, which we've spoken about a little bit today about what would happen if you have a serious illness or if you were to die and you have any sort of liabilities left. So something that actually flows through everything that we look at is something called cash flow modeling or forecasting. And this is super, super important and something that advisors are becoming more and more familiar with, but something we've been using for years and years because it's really a key part of what we do. So it's a way of putting everything that we've just spoken about and goals and investments and everything into a chart and into a graph, and something that can easily be changed and updated regularly. So this is an example here, and this is in the context of protection. So we're looking at whether you would need an insurance policy. And you can see here, this is the cash flow modeling. And the graph here shows along the bottom are a series of bars. So that's a bar chart. And those bars signify income. And you can see the key at the bottom. So you can see green is employment income. And if you look at 2025 to 2030, for example, you can see the employment income is around sort of 50K, increasing with inflation.
Mm.
And then we've got other colors. So the blue is withdrawal from investments, and that's the system saying that you need to withdraw a bit from investments because you haven't quite got enough income for what you need. Brown is pensions. Yellow is a state pension that comes in, and we can set which year that would come in. And
Mm.
red is shortfall. And that's a really important part of our graphs. And that's what we look at years and years ahead for our clients. And we say, look, we can see something coming 30 years away. Let's do something now. Let's not wait until it's a little bit too late to invest money and be able to have that growth and maybe looking at capacity for loss and all of that again. So
Mm.
this is a situation looking at protection. And in this unfortunate scenario, we're looking at the illness and death of, we've got a Jane and a John Doe test situation in here. And we've got the early illness and death of John in this particular scenario. And we have here, that means that the green bar has nearly halved, which means that we've lost John's income. Of course, you're going to have a lot more more issues than just worrying about John's income that's gone if you are Jane in this scenario, of course. But then you'll be thinking, okay, what do I do now? I'm living off just my income. Your expenditure would drop a little bit. So the black line along the top, you can see it sort of going along the top of the bars. That's expenditure. So we'd always ask our clients, what are you spending every year? What do you spend on holidays? What do you spend on food? And we split the expenditure into different sections. So essentials. So that helps us work out if something were to happen, are your essentials covered? And then we
Mm.
add on those lifestyle and investment costs that Tony was talking about in the Mercedes diagram. So we
Mm.
can see here, if John were to die early, from 2035, Jane in the situation would not be earning quite enough money to be able to look after herself, and she'd start taking money out of investments and bank accounts. That's the blue.
Mm.
Then she'd run out of that and she'd start taking money out of her pension. If she were able to take money out of her pension, there are minimum ages on that. And
Mm.
then by her retirement age, she's run out. She's got a little bit coming in from the state pension. It's giving her about half what she needs, and she's going to have an issue. So this
Mm.
tells us we need to put in some protection policies in for Jane and John if they were to die or have a critical illness. And this is
Mm.
what happens if they pay a little bit into that policy each month. something happened to John,
Mm,
you'd have a big investment pot that pay out. Either it depends on what type of product you have. It could pay out in a lump sum and you
mm,
hold it in the bank or an investment and receive an income from it. But there are different types of insurance policies. Some of them give you a little bit of money over time, and you can see no red here. So
mm,
that links into our software here, which is what it looks like in real time.
mhm,
You can then pop in your own timeline. So you can put in retire, illness and death dates we have to put in, just so we have to be realistic. Unfortunately, we have to look ahead of time. But you can put in the when you want to buy your car. You can put in when you
mm,
want to buy a house, holidays, replacing the car, anything like that. You put in your timeline. It links straight into the system here, so you can see the icons at the bottom. And then
mm.
those icons link straight into the system, which say, do you have enough money for those events? And that's where we put our recommendation into place. What do we need to do to fix that?
It's amazing, isn't it? And it's applicable to everyone. So not just, as I said earlier, not just the people that other people think they have a lot of money, like millionaires,
Absolutely. Anyone of
billionaires.
any
This
age
is
as well.
applicable to anyone, right? And everyone will need to go through this to plan their personal finance throughout their life, right?
And it helps with tax and different types of
Mm,
taxes. So we have an option here to look at how much tax this person would be paying.
mm,
So you'd be seeing as you earn more over time, is tax going to become more of an issue? And then
yeah.
we even look at inheritance tax, so we can see years ahead of time, is your estate going to grow enough to be affected by inheritance tax?
Mm.
You can look at your expenditure detail. You can see the breakdown of that Mercedes concept, everything we can do in here. So that's something that's really, really important for what we use with our clients.
Amazing.
Also,
Thank you, Sophia.
also, Tao, what you've got to bear in mind here is this we work with our clients all of the time. So
Mm,
although we might be 30, 40, 50, a lifetime ahead,
mm,
we're dealing with the client once or twice a year. We go through this regularly. So there
mm.
should never be any surprises. Everything should be there. And we'll plan for anything that might go wrong, and we'll plan for everything that's going to go right. So that's the benefit of that relationship.